Measuring the wavelength of a laser using an interference pattern. Here we have a laser that shines into a diffraction grating, which diffracts to show an interference pattern on the screen. We have three different types of diffraction gratings. So the one on the left is 100 lines per millimeter diffraction grating, the middle one is 300 lines per millimeter, and the one on the right is 600 lines per millimeter. For each diffraction grating, we will measure the distance AC, which is the distance from the diffraction grating to the screen. Then we will measure the distance AB, which is the distance from the central brightness maxima to the first order maxima here. So measure this distance AB. And then we will measure the distance BC, which is the distance from the first order maximum to the diffraction grating. So first of all, we have the 100 lines per millimeter diffraction grating. The distance from the grating to the screen is 1 meter. So the distance AC is 1 meter. Now I'm going to mark the position of the central maxima on the desk with chalk. And the first order maximum. And then I'm going to measure the distance in between. We have around 66 millimeters. So the distance AB is 66 millimeters. Now we're going to measure the distance BC. So I've already marked on the desk here, point C. So we will use a measuring tape to measure this distance. So the measuring tape is between the 1 meter and the 1.01 meter mark. So let's say it's 1.005 meters. So BC is 1.005 meters. So now we have the 300 lines per millimeter grating. The length AC is 1 meter again. So let's measure AB. We have 195 millimeters, or 0.195 meters. So measuring BC again. So to measure BC again, we'll use a measuring tape. We'll move this out of the way and use our marked point. So it's around 1.02 meters, 1.02 meters for BC. So now we're moving on to the 600 lines per millimeter grating. Again, it is placed as 1 meter from the screen on our marked point. Now we're going to measure the distance AB. We have 425 millimeters, or 0.425 meters. And finally, we're going to measure the length BC for the 600 lines per millimeter grating. So we're going to move this and use our marked point and our measuring tape. So I would say that's 1.09 meters. So the length BC is 1.09 meters.